Madumeko khai, ra le amogela gape mo lenaneong la rona la Rise. Being a single mother is no easy feat. Imagine having to be a parent when you are young. Many young women in South Africa have their youth cut short because they're taking care of children for various reasons. Today, we're speaking about young women raising children alone. And as per usual, I'm joined by my lovely co-hosts. Welcome again.
Hello, hello.
So this is a bit of a difficult one because there's a disproportionate number in this country of young people, particularly young women, whether ke bana ba bona as single parents or ke bana ba ko bona ba tshwantse gore ba ba thuse mo go gola. Do you guys have any particular experience with that in regard, or what are your thoughts on this issue?
You know, personally, as a young person, I cannot imagine it. You know, I get preparation yet. I would need a lot of tools. I hardly know how to get and I can see how difficult it is. And I cannot imagine at the age of 20 having to do it myself. I really can't. And I'm still figuring myself out. I'm still sensitive the mistake, sensitive mona you know, I can hardly take care of myself that much, but that's asking a lot from a 20-year-old or any young child.
I think for me the effect is constantly living in fear because you are so insecure about and for now, in my case, I wasn't only looking after my child. In fact, my daughter was looked after by my parents. Mari, I also took responsibility for my siblings, you know. And looking back, I was like, wow, that was the most dangerous thing to do. Because they could be in an accident. Something could happen. They could get very sick in the middle of the night. You know, particularly when you don't have many resources. It's so much harder. You know, so it becomes just so much harder.
And something happens, resentment. Because especially if let's for example, actually even if it is your child, I had to help take care of my niece Momo, and I was 16, so I would have to babysit her. And I remember feeling so resentful. And you know why? Because I felt like I'm not even getting paid for this. You know, I'm helping these people out, but it was just taken for granted. And that resentfulness is not a good thing. Because it changed our attitude towards one in many ways, and towards yourself as well. What about you, Mali?
I know a lot about that. In 2009, I lost my mother, and Begmelo asked me the role of being my little sister's mother. So we'd have these petty fights, and you know, she says it a lot. Oh yeah, no, my mom. So it's very hard. Like I wouldn't imagine what other peers of mine go through.
But Ramafoko, don't you think part of the reason why batu basa itokomele is because habana self-worth enough and to be able to prioritize themselves before anybody else? And it's not something that is particularly encouraged among batu babanzo. Ukare too selfish if you know what they prioritize.
Well, I think for some practical reasons. You know how tlhokometse bana o le ngwana le wena. Firstly, like Kanye said, how na di skills. Secondly, it takes time to take care of other people. So by the time you are finished with everybody else, you are so exhausted that it's like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. But you then learn that habit. It becomes a learned habit. You know, you will always put yourself last. I won't forget the time when ultimately about something else, not about taking care of people. And when I was talking to this guy, was psychologist, you know, tell me a little bit about yourself. The first thing I said, I'm a survivor. You know, I'm a survivor. And I thought it was a great thing. You know, I survive. And he said to me, what if you stopped surviving and you just thrived? It was so foreign that I actually didn't want to do it. You know? But Mbali, you had something to say.
Yeah, the thing is, my mom passed away in a car accident. And my dad was driving. So he also got very badly injured. So at the time, I felt like my responsibility here is to take care of my dad and Usi Swam. So I had that responsibility. And I didn't think about it. For me, being 14, and I just thought, you know what, I will do this. I'll be strong for them. I never thought about, as she said, who's going to be strong for me. I just thought, I'm going to survive this and I'm going to be strong for them. And yeah, it is hard. It's very hard. Even talking about it right now is very difficult. But then, it is what it is, you know.
Yeah, and other problematic proverbs like that make women feel like we can't break down, that make women feel like we can't open up because we're expected to be these rocks. You're not a rock at all, and neither are you, and neither are you, and neither am I. We're feeling human beings, and sometimes you just need to cry and be able to reach out to somebody and say, I'm not coping. The people around us must stop assuming that just because we're strong, just because we're pretty, just because we look good, does not mean that there's not something inside, particularly those who are primary people who are taking care of others, you know, particularly young ones. But the emphasis really has to be today on, we're really talking about young people who are prematurely having to take care of their siblings or other people in their households. Morago ga papatso, we'll be speaking to Wilma Calvert from FAMSA, as well as Pamela Mbantsini and Priscilla Thami, 2 young women who are raising children alone. Lisekela feel.
Lebo is joined on the couch by Wilma Calvert from FAMSA and Pamela Mbantsini, Priscilla Thami, who are 2 young women raising children. Over to you, Lebo.
Thanks, Kanye, and welcome, Wilma, Pamela, and Priscilla. Before we start our conversation, I just want us to watch a clip. Yako, Pamela Masivagashele, when you talk to us about being a mother at a young age. So let's take a look.
I'm Pamela Mbantsini. I'm 19 years old. Ngisase esikolweni and nginengane ena 18 months. And one truth about being a single mom ukuthi uhlala unaleya anger, and sometimes leyo anger awukwazi ukuyicontrola just because ingqondo yakho isuke confused ngoba usuke ucabanga ukuthi ubaba walengane ukephi wenzani nobani while mina ngihlushwa ingane at this time and lengane idinga u1 or 2 and mina I cannot afford ukuyenzela lento lengane, and sometimes ingane yenze into encane wena just because unaleya anger ingane uyaye mhlambe uyishaye kabuhlungu ngoba usuke ucikekile ngaphakathi and uhlale izinto zakho nje uhlale very sensitive noma kwenzeka into encane wena usensitive.
Wow, thank you for sharing your story with us. Priscilla, itinkhulume nawe. Now as sisi, you are looking after 3 children. Tell us, how did that happen?
Ngo 2008 umama usale washona, and then ngasala nosisi omdala ona 18, and then nami I was 14 by that time. Nelas born yasekhaya bekana 5, so boku difficult because of usisi wami bekufanele ukuthi asebenze, and then I have to take care of abantwana abayi 3. Ilas born yasekhaya lena 5, abantwana bakho abayi 2, ona 6 nona 7. So beku difficult for me, especially when I was in matric. Bekufanele ngimake sure ukuthi ngiyaba preparela before baye esikoleni, and lokho bekungenza ukuthi ngibe late mostly for ama morning class.
How serious is this situation in South Africa from your experience at FAMSA?
It is quite prevalent in South Africa. There are a lot of teenage moms, and there are also more and more child-headed households that are happening across all the provinces in South Africa. And the challenges that they face are enormous. And I can identify with Pamela saying, you know, that you're so angry because this is a disruption to your life. And if you don't have the support you need, it makes it even harder.
Let's talk a little bit about support. You are also, Pamela, grew up no Putuako Pelane, and then Ute, when you fell pregnant, unfortunately, he also died. How was it like being pregnant, all these body changes happening in your body? Who do you talk to? What was it like just being 17 and pregnant? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, just because benganayo bo abazali ngabona ukuthi the best way engimele ngenze ngakhona kwakumele ukuthi ngiye clinic because bengana umuntu engase ngikhulume naye.
What is your response to any mother who has these feelings? They are young, they don't know how to deal with them.
It's unfortunate that nobody teaches us these skills as parents. It's the one thing that we don't have a license, we don't write a test for. But we need an older person to help us through this process. And acknowledging, which is a good thing for Pamela, she knew that she had a problem, and the problem is anger. So once you've identified the problem, then you need to find ways and people that can actually assist you with that.
So what are some of your challenges that maybe you would like Wilma to also help you with?
Ama-challenge engingahlangana nawo ukuthi angizange ngi-enjoy kahle like i-youth yami, yeah, as umuntu omusha. So ngibe umama at an early age noma benganaye umntwana. So it was a challenge for me ukuthi ngikade abantwana. So I didn't enjoy my youth stage.
Very, very difficult. And unfortunately, you can't recapture your youth, as it were. But finding somebody that you can talk to is very, very important, that you can share what's happening with you. And understanding where you now. So you just turned 20. So what are 20-year-olds doing? Don't try and go back to being 16, 15, that's not going to work. It's just going to frustrate you even more.
Yeah. Okay. How is it like for you, both of you, to pursue your studies and perhaps go further in life while you are still looking after children?
Kunzima khona akukho simple cause manje mina ngenza course ye social auxiliary work.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So nginama assignment ngaphamele ngenze practical. And sometimes nginokubuya late, and then I get worried ukuthi yo njengoba ngingekho ngisesesikoleni abantwana laba basele nobani badla ini. So it's a challenge.
And for you?
Yeah, nakumina it's a bit challenging. But ngiyazama cause ngiyazama okuyinikela ngibe ingane yesikole ngiphinde futhi ngidlale a mother role cause ayikho into engayenza i-situation iyangiphoqa angeke ngize ngilahle umntanami just because ngifuna ukuqhubeka mina nempilo and angeke ngize ngiyeke isikole just because kumele nginako umntwana kumele ngibalance i-equation.
It's tough, but again the support system. Find people. For example, you at school, Pamela, there must be other girls in your similar situation. Make friends with those girls. How do you cope with this? Share ideas. Then it doesn't feel such a huge burden on yourself. You know, somebody might be going through exactly the same problem you, but they've worked out a solution. You don't have to go and work out the solution. Take on what they've learned, use it, and see if that doesn't help. And just support each other, because when you feel that you're not alone, the burden doesn't feel so heavy, it's shared. And in the case of Priscilla, and I applaud you too, Priscilla, for taking on auxiliary social work. But you're going through, you've learned so much already, which is going to stand you in good stead for what you're going to be learning. You've got an edge on other students. So take the positive out of your experience. Don't think of it as totally negative. Yes, it's difficult, but there is such a lot of positive. You guys have been thrown like little tea bags into hot water, and you've proved you're strong. And give yourself the credit for that.
Apart from your family, who supported Nina ekhaya, particularly ngezinto ezifana nemali, into zokudla, impahla, where did you get the support yenu from?
Sina sitholi support from Rays of Hope, yeah, a non-organization. So iyo be support kakhulu, and yeah, from government. The social worker made sure ukuthi ilasibona sekhaya itholi foster care. Yeah, and from the church, sitholi support kakhulu.
Okay, and you?
Yeah, in terms of support mina financially, bengithola kuma mom and my aunt, and ubaba wengane yami, he's very supportive financially. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And just in terms of financial and material support, where can young people go to?
You know, we often overlook the clinic. it's a very good starting point, because at a clinic you will normally find other organizations that work from the same space or premises. Find out who is there in the community, so that you don't have to be still traveling far to find the support that you need. Find out which government structures are in place. Ask the schools where you're based. Where can you go for resources in terms of, if it means, is there a feeding scheme in the area? Are there people who are prepared to come in and assist? Because sometimes the schools can get sponsors for young girls who are working hard, who are showing the potential. So talk, this is the thing. Nobody can smell that we've got a problem. When we start talking out, we will get the response. There are lots of people who do want to come on board and help.
Wow, what a lovely conversation. Thank you so much, Wilma, and to you, Pamela and Priscilla. Good luck. You are doing a great job. And at least if nobody has ever applauded you, I'm applauding you, because you are raising our next generation. We'll be right back.
Siyamukela. Njengoba sengishilo, I'm facing similar situations, and ngingathanda ukwazi ukuthi for peers that are my age and are facing the same similar situation, bangayenza kanjani, and where can they go to access ama grants?
Well, I mean, Bali, I think every part of the country, every province, in our offices with social development, where one can go and access Lama grant. But apart from financial support, kukona also other support that I think young people your age need to. Just having somebody to talk to, you know, whether it's a trusted adult, just knowing that if things went very wrong, this is who I can go to. We also hope that the Rise Young Women's Clubs, where they are established, they would also be a support base, but also a place where people go for information. I'm always surprised by how much information people don't know around what is available, even when it is around their own communities. So I think that is important. And we will certainly, through Mxit Reach, Facebook and other things, make sure that this show also becomes a platform for young people to know where they want to go to.
Yes, and there is, if you are 16 years and older, I mean, the Children's Act rather, since it was enforced in 2010, allows young people who are taking care of other young people to be able to apply directly for the social grant, because, you know, we don't all have the same support services.
Bangayenza kanjani in that situation ukuthi ubaba womntana akafuni ukumaintain umntana ayazi ukuthi umntana akhe and uyasebenza unayo the resources to take care of the baby?
Sometimes, Mbali, even if batse ba gore ke ngwana bona, gona le bontate ba ile gore ba batlo support bana, but every child is entitled to maintenance from their father, and you can go to court and lodge a complaint against that. You may be required a blood test in between. And did you know the parents of the boy who impregnates a woman or girl are actually required by law to take financial responsibility should the boy not be able to or not be willing to take on that responsibility. So I want to like how involved when I fail. The whole family. So it should matter. It's not just that women and young girls are falling pregnant, but that the men and the boys who also contribute to that pregnancy take full responsibility.
Yeah. And it's the law.
So what if Khona chalete eo ya go misa ko court lira yanghe?
Family court is free.
It's free.
Family court is free, but young women do complain about the process that they face. And I think more than anything, Kiona a discourage ambassador Khorobaye. But many more women are going, and the law is being enforced.
Should our young people also be reaching out to people in their communities, to neighbors, to people in churches? And a part of me says yes, but a part of me is also fearful, particularly of Buntateba Sileng. Baba capitalizing mo baneng. Wan tlhaloganya. So if maybe they were not aware gore this is a vulnerable home, they could take advantage of you. So you may have to try other people first. I hate that I have to be so untrusting of South African men, but this is the situation. Instead of somebody offering a family groceries, now the young girl must have sex with this very, very old man who's going to give her all sorts of infections before they can even eat. It's unconscionable, really.
Yeah, but there's so many organizations out there, CBOs, that are really making a difference.
CBOs?
Yeah, community-based organizations that are really making a difference. And I think for me, what we need to encourage young people to do is to find out who these organizations are. And I think for me, for Uguti Lama organization must thrive and survive is that they also need volunteers because a number of them are doing great work, but they are also stretched in their resources. So I think, to actually counter the point that you are saying, we need to ask ourselves as societies, how do we become a caring nation?
Sure.
And it's very simple steps. Maybe when a Kgomotso Linna, or a community-based organization. But I'm sure every Saturday we can be there to go and volunteer. I am sure we can be able to buy grocery, non-perishable food to go and donate them there. So that's important that we also contribute as a society. Uchulo me Wilma are support rather than charge.
So what if I'm a young person and I feel like I just can't anymore? Where do I go? What are my options?
Very good question, Kanye. One of the options is obviously adoption. And typically, adopt from within the family. So it is possible that if you the suggestion should be that Banaba, the first prize really could possibly be adopted within the home. But the Department of Social Development is also a good place to go, which has the social workers can help you place people, because some people are fearful of exactly that. For some people, it's a good idea. The children should be adopted. Obviously, the fear is that and if there's more than one kid, because it's difficult to place more than one kid in a home. So it can be a bit tricky, but it's definitely one place that people can go for that kind of help. But I think the idea of volunteering is one that you and I should be taking up at Lebo. And for all of those out there who care enough and have some time to be able to offer resources, it's beyond more than just money. It's also about time. But when somebody who's young and vulnerable seeks help from you, you should also be able to help people without seeking anything in return. Thank you so much to my co-hosts. And thank you very much, Ekaya, for joining us today. Remember to follow us on Twitter, share your thoughts with us on Facebook, and continue the conversation on Mxit Reach. Go fitla ka nako e latelang, salang sentle. Woof, woof.